ठीक है, कर दी, हाँ कर दी, ओके। So we started our discussion on Machiavelli. First thing, what are its prominent idea? First prominent idea of him is nature of field of politics. How politics is according to Machiavelli? Politics is not, there is no role of ethics in politics. Okay, it's not an inspiring field. It is what, but still it is what it is. ठीक है ना, लाइन याद रखनी है. We should not, prince should not sacrifice is for ought. Anyone who will sacrifice is for ought will not only going to hurt the interest of the state but will going to hurt himself. ठीक है ना. So if prince will try to find goodness in politics, he is bound to be disappointed. Now, who criticized Machiavelli for saying all this? Sabine. According to Sabine, Machiavelli's ideas are dated and narrowly located, right? But we say, despite it is wrong to say his ideas are narrowly dated and narrowly located, we do find similarity between his ideas and Kautilya, who are from different time and space. Thus, what prevails in his idea is, give me two words, transcendentalism and universalism. Perfect. Then on human nature, according to him, human nature is greedy, selfish, egoistic. ठीक है. There is something called universal egoism. Who will define what is universal egoism? Rituja. Machiavelli is known as the father of universal egoism. What is this? What is universal egoism? So when he is saying that human nature is that he is coward, he is selfish, ungrateful, okay, fearful, greedy. Is human nature is like this? Or this is one-sided interpretation of human nature? It is one-sided interpretation of human nature, and that's why we are saying that he is looking only for those examples in history which justifies his thought process. But he is known as the father of universal egoism. What is that? It's the universal fact that man is selfish by nature. लिख लो, universal egoism means that selfishness of human nature is universal. Everywhere you will only find which kind of human being? Selfish. Selfishness of human nature is universal. So if prince has to deal with humans, it is important for him to understand what? Human nature. And that's why he said rather than psychology we need, rather than philosophy we need psychology, because you have to deal with human and you need to understand the psyche of human. ठीक है ना? So he is the father of universal egoism. That selfishness of human nature is universal. ठीक है ना? And for him, history is the best guide to politics. And throughout history, the nature of human has remained constant. Throughout history, the nature of human has remained constant. ठीक है? So man is selfish, man is coward, man is extremely greedy, right? So what is the evaluation? His evaluation is biased, and it is wrong to say that everywhere humans are selfish. We do see a lot of examples where humans have sacrificed everything, okay, for their ethics, for their principles. ठीक? Then what are the qualities prince should have? Clever like fox and brave like lion. This brings Machiavelli closer to whom? Aristotle and even Plato. Plato said, who should be the ruler? Reason. So reason means here clever. Aristotle said, who should be masters have? Reason. So he is also saying the ruling class should have which qualities? That is courage, and he should be clever, and he should have courage. Okay. but he is saying anyone can become prince, any enterprising person. According to Plato and Aristotle, we born with reason. We born as masters. This separates Machiavelli from Plato and Aristotle. They are saying natural inequality. He believes that what? Anyone can become prince who has these qualities. Okay. Then on the role of ethics in politics. So according to him, is there any role of ethics? Is there any role of religion? No. Okay. And in politics, end justify means. This is the quote which is known as Machiavellianism. अब यही बात है, हम ये कहते हैं that in India there is a paradox. What we are saying is in India there is a paradox where we have seen leaders are not pursuing ethics in domestic politics, but they are pursuing ethics in dealing with other countries. Okay. India has tried to stick to its principles. Okay. Some noble principles of Panchsheel, ignoring our defense capabilities. So India as a state our leaders has tried to pursue ethics in world politics, but they have never followed ethics in domestic politics. In domestic politics, it is all about power politics. ठीक है ना? So this is the paradox which we have seen in India. But if anyone will ask you, this is the topic of your GS paper 4 also. So यहीं पे link कर लेते हैं Machiavelli को. GS paper 4, ethics in international relations. Is there the place of ethics in international relations? Does state follow ethics in dealing with each other? ऐसे लिखोगे? No. हाँ. So what you will say is that every state pursue national interest. There are core interest, and core interest is of integrity and sovereignty. While pursuing core interest, no state will compromise on their core interest, and they will ignore ethics. In general, state try to pursue some established principle, norms, rules and regulation. But if the issue is about the core interest, state ignore ethics and they go for power politics, that is the protection of their core interest at any cost. So in general, for which kind of issues it is very difficult to have an amicable political solution? Issues which become the issues of core national interest. In case of India, Pakistan, for both countries, you know which is the core issue? Kashmir. Russia is justifying its war in Ukraine on the name of core national interest. And same is the justification given by the leadership of Ukraine, that they are retaliating on the name of core national interest. So even wars are justified on the name of core interest. So in and justify means. Most important question regarding Machiavelli is his concept of dual morality. इसे बंद कर दो, एसी चल रहे हैं आज शायद, ACs are working. The most important concept of Machiavelli is dual morality. What is dual morality according to him? That in personal sphere you should pursue ethics, but in political sphere it is all about national interest. So basically he is freeing the prince, okay, to develop unnecessary guilt. He should not bring religion into politics. He is saying do not follow religion. In fact, he is saying religion he should project himself religious in front of the public, because religion is a disciplinary force, right? But he is saying do not bring religion and ethics into politics, because it will unnecessarily bring dilemmas. Politics has only one language, that is the language of national interest. Politics has its own language. ठीक है ना? And because he is separating ethics from politics, that is why he is known as the father of realism. Okay. एक line लिख लो, according to Machiavelli, political actions should be judged by political standards. Political actions should be judged by political standards rather than ethical standards. So political actions should be judged by political standards rather than ethical standard. We abrogated Article 370. Was it the way we did? Was it ethically correct? The assembly of J&K was not functional, but is it politically correct? You as an Indian will support this? Yes, because 370 was fueling unnecessary secessionist tendencies and it was the high time to do so. And Afghan dynamics has also impacted, I hope you remember, Afghan dynamics has also impacted the decision of the government to go for abrogation. Okay, na? So it was a politically correct decision, might be it was not seen as ethically correct decision. So politics has its own language, right? And political action should be judged by political standards rather than ethical standards. Full stop. A particular action may be ethically wrong. Really clear? A particular action may be ethically wrong, but may be politically correct. And politics has its own morality. And politics has its own morality. Thus, Machiavelli has developed the concept of dual morality. Concept of dual morality. So, is he telling the common man to not follow morality? No. He is saying common man should follow it, but he is freeing prince to follow morality. Okay. For the sake of national interest, and this makes him the prophet of nationalism. ठीक है ना? एक No. He's not saying prince to be virtuous. He is expecting prince not to be selfish. And prince to only work for the interest of, अभी हम करेंगे, ये point लिखूंगा, अब we'll do this. Just give me a time. Do write one more line. लिखो. Thus, according to Machiavelli, there is nothing called universal morality. Nothing called universal morality in the context of politics. मिल गई. Thus, according to Machiavelli, there is nothing called universal morality in the context of politics. Full stop. Political morality is contextual. Political morality is contextual, which means something may be universally correct, but is politically incorrect. Last line which you need to remember is his idea of dual morality does not mean he is preaching immorality. ये याद रखना. He is not preaching immorality. Okay. He is just freeing the prince. That prince is free to do anything for the sake of national interest. ठीक है ना? So that is why we are saying Machiavelli is amoral rather than immoral. ये line याद रखनी है. That is why Machiavelli is amoral rather than immoral, as he is indifferent towards morality. So last thing which I am asking is Machiavelli, or was Machiavelli against religion? No, Machiavelli was against the institution of church. ठीक है ना? ये बात याद रखनी है. So he do not want religion to come in the path of national interest. ठीक है ना? So do he want to reform religion? He want to reform it, that church should not come in the affairs of state. If you see capitalist, he's a scholar of which class? Capitalist, emerging capitalist bourgeois class, who are against religion. Later who will come and they will say they are against religion. Religion is the opium of masses, Marxists. Capitalists are not against religion. Capitalists wants to reform religion. Because if religion somewhere putting hindrances towards their economic growth, they will try to reform. Let's say if religion is stopping them to cross the sea, they will try to reform Catholics and Protestant. So capitalists try to reform religion, but they have never tried to counter religion because they see religion as a disciplinary force, and capitalist wants a discipline in the society. And that is why, who said religion is the opium of the masses given to them by capitalists? Marx. Okay? So how capitalists see religion? They see it as a disciplinary force in the society. Okay? So he is giving suggestion to the prince that prince should use religion, okay, and should project himself religious in public even if he do not have a belief on religion. Okay? In which book he has recommended that? He has two books, one is Prince and second is Discourse, in which he is recommending monarchy if people are corrupt, and he is recommending republic if people are virtuous. ठीक है ना, ये बात याद रखनी है. Now coming back to your question, Chishi, we are saying he is a father of realism, but deep down inside Machiavelli, was he idealist? Deep down there was an idealist hidden inside Machiavelli. Can we say this? How? And then he is expecting prince to do everything. He is saying everyone is selfish. ये बात बहुत अच्छी बोली. So he is a father of universal egoism. Selfishness of human nature is universal. Everyone is selfish. तो prince भी तो selfish होगा. And he is expecting prince to sacrifice everything for the interest of the nation. And this reflects the idealist hidden within Machiavelli. ठीक है चिशी, यही पूछना था ना, है ना? So is it right to say Machiavelli a complete realist or somewhere idealist hidden inside him, where we see the tinge of idealism in him, where he is expecting from the prince to sacrifice himself for the interest of the state, despite he being the father of universal egoism. Yes.
Also, Machiavelli prince can be compared to
Philosopher king can have some appetite, yes, and that's why communism. That's why communism. No, but Plato's philosopher king will not have hunger for power. He is a man of knowledge. Machiavelli's prince is one who knows statecraft, how to acquire power, how to govern the state. एक सेकेंड, लिखो मैकियावेली Machiavelli, the child of Renaissance. Child of Renaissance was the first thinker who brought out the concepts of political realism. Child of Renaissance was the first political thinker who brought out the concept of political realism. Full stop. Substantiate. बनाओ स्ट्रक्चर। What do you think? This is a difficult question, moderate, or a easy one? Easy one. Directly from the notes, nothing has to think, and what all we have just discussed, you have to write this. ठीक है ना? When the question is coming directly from your notes, where you do not have to think anything, is the easy question for you. ठीक है? From where you are starting, just tell me that. Lasky, saying he is a scholar of Machiavelli, is a true child of Renaissance. Acha. From where you have started? हाँ. Machiavelli, ठीक है. Though already the question itself is saying Machiavelli, the child of Renaissance. We don't have to repeat that. Machiavelli, the child of Renaissance, was the first modern thinker who brought the concept of political realism. You could have, this is not wrong, but focus is on what? Focus is political realism. So focus should be on he being a realist, he being the father of realism. ठीक है ना? Machiavelli, like in ancient Greece or the Greek philosophers and scholars never separated ethics from politics, and he was the first one to said ethics is not, politics is not ethics. ठीक है? Rather than saying that he is a child of Renaissance or starting from Lasky, because focus is not on this that he is a child of Renaissance. Focus of the question is on what? He being the first one who is political realist. So focus is on his emphasis on the school of realism. There is no need. You can say Renaissance was the rebirth of humanism. Okay. Yes, and this paragraph, Renaissance was a shift from the medieval time, which was the age of religion. Multiple ways you can start. Yes. Why he is? Why is called as child of Renaissance is not the theme of the question. Machiavelli, the child of Renaissance, is the first one to have brought out the concept of political realism. So focus is on political realism. Write a quote of Machiavelli. You can start from this quote. Okay? He who neglects what is being done he who neglects what is being done for what ought to be done will learn his destruction. Rather than will learn his destruction rather than his preservation. quote given by Machiavelli in his book. Yesterday, what Netanyahu said after Israel's attack, that we have faced destruction once, we can't afford any other threat in our neighborhood and will retaliate with force if Iran will try to do it again. ठीक है ना? So we can't allow any threat to develop in our vicinity. ठीक है ना? He who neglects what is being done for what ought to be done will learn his destruction rather than his preservation. कंक्लूजन में कंटेम्पररी टाइम्स की जगह इसमें यहीं वही आ सकता है, सेबाइन, दैट हिज क्रिटिक इज सेबाइन हु इज सेइंग दैट देयर इज अ क्लियर इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ हिज टाइम ऑन हिज आइडियाज, बट देन विल से नो, हिज आइडियाज आर नॉट narrowly dated and located. There is a clear transcendentalism and universalism. ठीक है ना? That is the best conclusion for this particular answer. Criticism हम यहाँ criticism कर ही नहीं रहे. We are not criticizing. Criticism of him will come when we will discuss his concept of dual morality. Okay, here we have to discuss realism. ह्यूमन नेचर का मतलब नहीं, वो रियलिज्म नहीं है. रियलिज्म इज ही सेपरेटेड एथिक्स फ्रॉम पॉलिटिक्स, ओनली दिस. हाँ, लिखो एक और क्वेश्चन. कैरेक्टर ऑफ मैकियावेली, जस्ट राइट द क्वेश्चन फर्स्ट. कैरेक्टर ऑफ मैकियावेली and the true meaning of his philosophies. Character of Machiavelli and the true meaning of his philosophy. Have been one of the enigmas true meaning of his philosophy has been one of the enigmas of modern history. Who has given this quote? Sabine. Even if it would not have written Sabine, so this is the quote. Critically examine. Character of Machiavelli and the true meaning of his philosophy has been one of the enigmas of modern history. Read this question 3 to 4 times. This is the easy question or a difficult one? Easy or difficult? Difficult. ठीक है. हाँ जी, कौन पूछ रहा था ऑनलाइन?
So in the previous question of when we being the fight, we mentioned dual morality.
Dual morality, yes. He is a child of Renaissance. Already question is telling you he is a child of Renaissance. You do not have to justify he is a child of Renaissance. Why he is known as a child of Renaissance? Focus is on political realism.
So while substantiating the plain dual morality without critically
Yes. ठीक है. So it's a difficult or a easy one? हाँ जी, नाम difficult or easy one? You not able to understand that which category of question it is. Rituja? So if you are not able to understand, so it's a difficult question for you. By reading the language of the question, probably you would have decided to not attempt this. Shivani, it's a difficult or easy? Difficult. It's a very easy question. It's just you finding difficult because the word enigma is attached. क्योंकि word enigma attached हो गया, इसलिए आपको difficult लग रहा है. इसलिए word, मतलब ये तो सेबाइन का कोट है वैसे, but ये word आप इसको difficult बना रहा है. Enigma means what? Something which is difficult to understand. So character of Machiavelli and the true meaning of his philosophy, why he is being criticized, for what he is being criticized, for telling the truth. Man is selfish. Is man not selfish? Is man not greedy? Everyone is Machiavellian in politics, but no one wants to accept himself Machiavellian. अगर कोट ये होता तो कर लेते explain. यही तो करना है. Everyone is Machiavellian in politics, but no one wants to accept himself as Machiavellian. This is exactly what you have to explain. अब easy है, ठीक है? Character of Machiavelli and the meaning of his philosophy. What he has taught. Prince should not bring ethics. Do you think Prince should bring ethics while pursuing politics? If you are too ethical, do you think you are fit for politics? You will end up hurting the interest of the nation or not? Was Gandhi fit for politics? So Godse did right. Someone who was not fit for politics, he eliminated. Unnecessarily, he is hurting the interest of the nation. Okay, being too soft on whom? Pakistan. We need leaders like the present one or the one who were earlier. Always is a question. ठीक है ना? You need philosophers in power or you need those who understand statecraft. You need Manmohan Singh or Modi in power. Right? So what he is saying? That we should not follow ethics. Is it right or not? You should not bring your beliefs, and if you can't do that, you are free to live a life of common man. If you want to be in politics, you are not allowed to bring your ethics. Only thing which becomes important for you is to pursue national interest. So this is the meaning of his philosophy, and this is one of the most has been one of the enigmas, because no one wants to project himself Machiavellian while everyone is pursuing Machiavellian politics. अब लिखो. No, he is not dealing with international context. He is dealing in the national context, that the national interest to be fulfilled. Where? Huh? So what he is saying, national or international, it is about interest. What is his view on power? Tell me. What is the view of Machiavelli on power? What is his view on power? It is better for the prince to be feared than to be loved. Okay, use force, but once use force, you should not allow enemy to seek revenge. Mistake committed by which Indian ruler? Prithviraj Chauhan, ठीक है ना? Of leaving enemy alive and allowed him to seek revenge. Revenge is a strong force. तो यही तो उसने कहा है ना? सोचो. Now correct. हाँ जी. So character of Machiavelli and the true meaning of his philosophy has been one of the enigma. Means it is one of the biggest it is one of the big difficult thing to interpret what Machiavelli was trying to pursue. So इसमें बताएगा, was Machiavelli preaching immorality? He was amoral rather than immoral. This is what we have to say. ठीक है?
The subtle contradiction in the hidden idealism.
What?
The little bit of hidden idealism in Machiavelli's
In the end, yes. In the end, yes. That is why it is enigma. On one side, he is saying everyone is selfish, but on the other side, expecting from the prince to sacrifice everything for the interest of the nation. So this is also enigma. Okay. So first you have to write, Machiavelli's work is a clear break from idealism, and it was he who separated ethics from politics, started the school of political realism. पहली तो ये बात हो गई. His work is a clear break from idealism. ठीक है? And he suggested prince should learn psychology to understand the nature of politics and human nature. Okay, so his emphasis was on is rather than ought. ठीक? एक यहां पर स्कॉलर का नाम लिख लो. Bacon, B-A-C-O-N, praised Machiavelli. Bacon praised Machiavelli for his realism and pragmatism. And for his assessment of human nature. So if Sabine has criticized, Bacon has praised. Bacon praised Machiavelli for realism, pragmatism, and his assessment of human nature. फिर लाइन लिखो, his work Prince is considered as the best book on statecraft. Statecraft is management of power, how to govern the state. Considered the best book on statecraft, and he is being credited for uncovering the power view of politics. Now, however, his ideas has been criticized as narrowly dated and narrowly located. By whom? Sabine. ठीक. एक और स्कॉलर का नाम याद रखो, लियो स्ट्रॉस called him the teacher of evil. In international relations, realists are known as children of darkness. ठीक है ना, ये सिर्फ अंधेरा फैलाएंगे दुनिया में. ठीक, they are the children of darkness. So he is a teacher of evil. याद रखना. लिखो, his full next, his preference of means were criticized by Gandhi. Means is criticized by Gandhi. And what Gandhi said, that it is illogical to expect rose by planting seeds of baboon. आपको पता है. Next, thus Machiavelli is the most criticized figure of Western philosophy. Machiavelli is the most criticized figure of Western philosophy, and Gandhi called Western civilization based on Machiavellianism as, क्या कहा है गांधी ने, as satanic. As satanic. ठीक, हाँ लिखो, एक सेकेंड वो. तो दो मैकियावेली, क्या लिखा था? Thus Machiavelli is one of the most criticized figure of Western philosophy, and Gandhi has called, based on Machiavellianism, is satanic. लिखो लास्ट, दो Machiavelli is one of the most criticized figure in the history of Western philosophy. Though Machiavelli is the most criticized figure in the history of Western philosophy, it is irony that he is being criticized for telling the truth. आ गया एनिग्मा, यही लिखना था, आपको मुश्किल लग रहा था. अपने ही नोट्स में से आंसर है. एंड द डिस्कशन व्हिच वी हैव डन टुडे ऑन Machiavelli, mark my word, there cannot be any question beyond this discussion in your main. So remembering these points itself in your mains will be a challenge. And if you will able to rephrase what all we have discussed here, that is, I guess, you cannot do. You can't write better answer than this much in your mains exam. Those who have given mains, I'm sure they understand this well, how challenging it is to frame answers in those 6 minutes. ठीक है? देखो. Thus, Machiavelli is one of the most criticized figure in the history of philosophy, and it is irony that he is being criticized for telling the truth. And according to Dunning, it is a paradox that everyone is Machiavellian. In politics. But no one accepts himself to be Machiavellian. यहां तक भी छोड़ सकते हो, 2 लाइन आगे ऐड करना हो तो, and there is clear universalism and transcendentalism in the ideas of Machiavelli. अब पढ़ो ये आंसर और दोबारा क्वेश्चन पढ़ो. So Machiavelli's character and meaning has been one of the enigma. ठीक है? Plato has told all lies, and he's been one of the most respected figure in the Western philosophy. Huh? Machiavelli has told all truth, and he is the most criticized figure. ठीक, Machiavelli, इससे ज़्यादा Machiavelli करना टाइम खराब करना है. I don't think so. There is nothing more which we need to discuss on Machiavelli. You have any question to ask? You can. Online student. Rajiv, your voice is not clear. Huh? What? टाइप करेगा. अरे बोल दे यार, माइक पास रख के. Okay. That someone keep answering the things which others are not able to listen. ठीक?
Always when writing Gandhi, you write
Gandhi ji. If you have time to add G, it is better. Being a father of the nation. यार कोई, I don't think so. Anyone will have the the evaluators who will going to check your answers will going to be this touchy that they have so much of that they will be offended if you will not add a G in as a suffix to Gandhi. ठीक है? If you will have time, this will be your first mains, na?
yes, sir.
By the time you will reach to the last question, you will start writing only G. You will not have time to write Gandhi. ठीक है? लिख के तो एक बार mains. Just write one main. Then I'll ask how many times you added G in the end of Gandhi. ठीक है? लिख देगा बढ़िया यार. कोई ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता. कौन है ये? Which teacher? चलो. Anyways. You should have asked how many times you have written mains, and in all your mains, how many times you added G. Okay. In the end of Gandhi. Yes. Hmm. नहीं, depend हम if one or two is more than considering the world limits we have. कर सकते हैं. ठीक है ना? I think if we are mentioning 2 in support and 2 against, that is more than enough. Next is Hobbes. Now, first thing, Hobbes is known as the first modern political scholar. Okay, he is the first modern political scholar, and Machiavelli is a child of Renaissance. Why he is known as the first modern political scholar? Because he has given the theory of sovereignty. Sovereignty is the most important element of the state. Who ended the confusion of two swords? Hobbes. Machiavelli failed to do so. Machiavelli only separated church from the state. But who ended the confusion of two swords? Hobbes, because he has given the theory of sovereignty. That is why he is known as the first modern political scholar. Okay, the debate took place, or the race took place between whom? Machiavelli, Bodin and Hobbes. ठीक है ना? So Hobbes clearly projected that sovereignty lies at one place, and that is why he is known as the first modern political scholar. ठीक है ना? Then एक लाइन लिख लो यहीं पे फर्स्ट मॉडर्न पॉलिटिकल स्कॉलर में. Why it is being said that? Might be my students who has done PSIR with me, they remember this, that despite he being seen as the first modern political scholar, in which context his recommendations are still seen as pre-modern. हालांकि एग्जाम में नहीं लिखना होगा, but you never know, because in the context, if the question is he is the first modern political scholar, आया भी हुआ है, तो एंड में अगर हम लिख देंगे कि despite he is known as the first modern political scholar, still in this aspect we can see that he is still not able to come out of the medieval era mentality. तो this will add a bit of value in your answer, और यही हम कर सकते हैं at max. ठीक है ना? 2-3 मेंस लिखने के बाद this is the value which I can add to your information. So this I always tell in the class, and might be my students will able to tell me. हाँ हाँ जी. हाँ लिख लो इसे. वेरी गुड. हॉब्स वॉज इन द फेवर ऑफ मोनार्की. हाँ बिल्कुल सही कहा था. ही वॉज इन द फेवर ऑफ मोनार्की, बट यहाँ पे डिफरेंस है. मिडिवियल टाइम पे मोनार्की कैसे थी? हेरिडिटरी थी. सो ही इज रिकमेंडिंग मोनार्की. ठीक है, लिखो. बट ही हैज नॉट सपोर्टेड द डिवाइन राइट ऑफ द किंग. So medieval time, which theory of the state was prevailing? Divine right theory. He come up with which theory? Social contract. That people have come together and created stake for the sake of protection of life, for their security. Okay. So Hobbes is seeing somewhat utility in the state. What is the utility of state? Protection of life. ठीक. लिखो. Hobbes was in the favor of monarchy, but he has not supported the divine right of the king, which means that state is created by God. State is created by God. Full stop. Modern world values the rule of law rather than the rule of person. Rule of law rather than the rule of person. Hence, in this sense, his prescription is pre-modern. His prescription is pre-modern. Okay. So what is the reason for political obligation according to Plato? Yesterday we discussed. What is the reason for political obligation according to Plato? Why man should follow state? For the satisfaction of soul. Everyone should do their duty, and if someone is not doing duty, their soul will not be satisfied. What is the reason for political obligation according to Aristotle? मैन इज अ सोशल एनिमल। ये ध्यान रखनी है बातें, लिखते भी चलो। पॉलिटिकल ऑब्लिगेशन, व्हाट इज द रीजन फॉर पॉलिटिकल ऑब्लिगेशन फॉर प्लेटो? आइडियलिस्ट सोल विल नॉट बी सेटिस्फाइड, ठीक है ना। For Aristotle, no one can survive without state. Only man, only God and beast. So, man, nature is innately social. Man is a social political animal. पैदा ही इंसान ऐसा हुआ है कि वो स्टेट के बिना नहीं रह सकता। Man innately is social. What is the reason for political obligation according to Hobbes? Security of life, because in the state of nature, life was brutish. So for Hobbes, what is the reason for political obligation? Security of life, ठीक है ना। So man should not, man has the right to what? If state will not protect the life, what right man is having according to Hobbes? Right to resist, but then he will go back into the state of nature, ठीक है ना। He has the right to resist, but then he will go back to the state of nature, ठीक है। This is the reason for political obligation according to Hobbes. Do Marx support political obligation? एक सेकेंड, do Marx support political obligation? अरे मार्क्स कहेगा revolt against the state. State is an instrument of capitalist bourgeois class, ठीक है ना। ठीक है, so to understand state, we cannot understand state without reading Hobbes. He said Hobbes is father of all, but he will not say that you need to follow state, ठीक है। हाँ जी, पूछो, क्या पूछ रहे थे ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट?
So what's the main difference between Aristotle's conception of political obligation and Hobbes? Because Aristotle says that man is a socio-political animal, then is it implied that he needs the state to survive?
Yes,
If it is, then how is it different from what Hobbes is?
Hobbes is saying that state is created by man through contract. Their state is organic evolution. भूल कैसे गए? वो आइडियलिस्ट है, ये मटेरियलिस्ट है, ठीक है ना। स्टेट इज अ मीन्स, इंडिविजुअल इज द एंड, एंड द एंड इज टू प्रोटेक्ट द लाइफ। State is a means, individual is the end. Aristotle believes in organic evolution of the state. Okay, there is a difference. Not revolution, Locke will say that, ठीक है ना। So clear, he is favoring monarchical government, but he is not supporting the divine right. Divine right was prevailing in the medieval time, but because he is recommending monarchy and modern world believes in rule of law, so in this respect his prescriptions are still pre-modern. So agar first modern thinker mein, you know the reason that he has given the theory of sovereignty. He ended the confusion of two swords. You will say Bodin, Machiavelli and Hobbes, they were in the race, won by Hobbes. Last paragraph ये वाला, ठीक है। Now, हाँ, he used the scientific method. Yes, modern thinker, modern world will going to respect things which are being proven scientifically. So he tried to give his theory. He said man is utilitarian. Even Machiavelli said man is selfish. What is the difference between Hobbes and Machiavelli in this respect? Machiavelli has just said, and he has looked into history to justify man was selfish, but he has tried to prove it through resolutive composite method, that there is a movement of particles. So he has tried to prove that why man is selfish. This is the difference. ठीक? So for Hobbes, which are the laws which are real laws? laws made by the state. Do he believe in natural laws? No. सेकेंड बात याद रखनी है, ठीक है ना. कोट, covenant without swords are nothing but words. What is covenant? Covenant means agreement, ठीक है ना. Agreement without swords nothing but words means sovereign should come with the power of punishment, ठीक है ना. And he believes in the theory of legal sovereignty, ठीक. What are the two characteristics of law according to Hobbes? What are the two characteristics of law according to Hobbes? One, definiteness of the source and power of punishment. There is only one authority who should make laws, and that authority should come with the power of punishment. ठीक है? Hobbes believed that in man, what dominates? What is more, passion or reason? Passion. Do they have reason? Yes. How much reason? To know what they need, but they do not have reason to control their passion. Passion dominates over reason. ठीक? According to Hobbes, in every human, passion dominates over reason. According to Hobbes, in every human, passion dominates over reason. In every human, passion dominates over reason. Yes, means he do believe in what? It's a modern time. Everyone is equal. Natural inequality nahi exist karti. Notion of natural inequality was prevailing when? Ancient times, where Plato believed people born with different elements of soul. Few are men of reason, few are courage, few are appetite. Aristotle, few are born masters, few are born slaves. But Hobbes believes in every being. What dominates is passion over reason. Likh lo ye point. According to Hobbes, in all humans, passion dominates over reason. हाँ कर सकते हैं. Passion dominates over reason. So he's saying all are utilitarian. All aspires for utility. And that is why all of them has created state. State is an instrument of utility. What is the utility of state? Protection of life. ठीक? In all humans, passion dominates over reason. So he do not believe in superior and inferior souls. So what it means? Natural equality. So he's coming out from the medieval era mentality. Okay, so he's saying everyone is equal. In everyone, passion dominates. Everyone is utilitarian, and he tried to justify this through resolutive composite method. There is a movement of particle. Stimulus which will give pleasure, particles will move in that direction. So state of nature is a state of war. State of nature was full of anarchy, according to him. To come out of that anarchy, people have created state. State as an instrument of utility. So they have reason. Yes. The reason is that much which tells them what they need. ठीक है ना? What he called natural law. What is the statement used by Hobbes for natural law? According to him, there was natural law in the state of nature. According to him, if there would have been natural law, there would have been peace. Okay. If people were following natural law, what is the source of natural law? Reason. But people have more what? Passion. Because people have more passion than reason, that is why there was no peace in the state of nature. Okay. And that is why he prefers to call the natural law as articles of peace or councils of prudence. ठीक है ना? That is why he has called natural law as articles of peace and councils of prudence. Prudence means it's like practical advices. मैं आपको advice दे रहा हूँ, मानो ना मानो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. So what is real law? Law passed by sovereign. ठीक है. Do we have international law? Do we have an international authority to impose international law? And that is why its imposition seems weak. This you can connect with this particular thing. Till the time we do not have an international body to impose law, okay, its imposition will remain weak. Covenant without swords are nothing but words. International law है, मानता कौन है? पुतिन सुन रहा है? इजराइल, पाकिस्तान, who cares? बोलते रहो, ठीक है ना? Clear? Right? So, first is which kind of law, what law Hobbes believe is the real law? Legal law. His theory of sovereignty is theory of legal sovereignty. Name of his book is Leviathan. ठीक. He believes in the theory of which rights? Theory of legal rights. Do we believe in natural rights? Who has given the theory of natural rights? Locke has given theory of natural rights. ठीक है ना? Was there rights in the state of nature according to him? There was no rights. There was power politics. ठीक है ना? In the state of nature according to Hobbes, what was right? Might was right. ठीक है ना? So, men through contract has created state. What kind of state they have created? Absolute state. They have surrendered all their rights except one right, that is right to self-preservation. ठीक है ना? They have surrendered all their rights except one, that is right to self-preservation or right to life. If state can't protect this life, what right man has? Right to resist. तो ये लाइन्स याद रखनी है, ठीक है ना? So, which right he is considering as the most important and most sacrosanct? Right to life. So, for him, right to life is absolute, which cannot be compromised. लिख लो ये बात. For Hobbes, right to life is absolute, which cannot be compromised. And that is why he is considered as the greatest of all individualist. For Hobbes, right to life is absolute. The reason Hobbes is considered as the greatest of all individualist. His absolutism is for whom? Individual. Hobbes' absolutism is for individual. So, is there a contradiction between Hobbes' absolutism and individualism? No, because his absolutism is for the sake of individual. According to him, individuals do not have reason, they have passion, and that's why they can't live in peace. Okay, and they need absolute state. So, his absolute state is for whom? Individual, and this makes him greatest of all individualist, and at the same time this makes him greatest of all absolutist. Both है ना? He is the greatest of all individualist and he is the greatest of all absolutist. Why is known as the greatest of all individualist? First, his concern is for what? So, greatest of all individualist. So, what is individualism? And where we can find the trace of individualism as a philosophy? Very good. Sophist. Part is important than whole. Socrates. Whole is important than part. तो ये एक लाइन लिख लो. Individualism is a philosophy of modern times. It's a philosophy of modern times. Though its traces are found in the ideas of sophists. So what is individualism? That individual interests are important than the interest of the society. Okay, primacy to the, we can give primacy to individual over the interest of society. I hope you remember this, which we discussed in the class. All humanists are individualist. एग्जाम के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, पता होना चाहिए. ऑल इंडिविजुअलिस्ट आर ह्यूमनिस्ट और ऑल ह्यूमनिस्ट आर इंडिविजुअलिस्ट. All individualists are bound to be humanist. Who are humanists? For whom man is a major concern. Man is the center of universe. So all individualists are bound to be humanist, but not all humanists are individualist. Example, Marx. Karl Marx was humanist but socialist, not individualist. ठीक है? गांधी ह्यूमनिस्ट थे, बिल्कुल थे. हाँ, गांधी भी हो जाएंगे. But he never compromised the interest of the individual also. His ideas of trusteeship. It is very difficult to keep Gandhi in some water to compartmentalize Gandhi. ठीक है? कांत, dignity. हाँ, कांत को कह सकते हैं, बिल्कुल. Individual's dignity cannot be compromised. He is humanist and he is individualist. ठीक. So why he is individualist? Because he clearly established, scientifically tried to establish, man is utilitarian. Man seeks pleasure, man avoid pain, and there is no wrong in this. So he is removing the guilt from man for being individualist. It is as factual as if earth rotates around sun and earth is not committing any wrong. ठीक है ना? It is not sin. So why he is individualist? Because he was the first person who logically established that man is utilitarian and man seeks pleasure and there is no wrong and harm in this. ठीक है ना? ये सारी बातें आपने लिखी हुई हैं, अभी करेंगे वो. ठीक है, अभी हम क्वेश्चंस नहीं कर रहे, क्वेश्चंस तो अलग से दूंगा. So he tried to prove scientifically that man is individualist. Even Machiavelli said this, man is selfish, but he has failed to prove it scientifically. ठीक है ना? Now one line which you should write in here is, Hobbes established that all are individualist by nature. Why is greatest of all individualists? He established that all are individualist by nature and rejected the theory of superior and inferior souls. Rejected the theory of superior and inferior soul. So he is rejecting natural inequality. ठीक है ना? All are man of passion. ठीक. So there is no contradiction in his absolutism and individualism. His absolutism is for whom? Individual, for the protection of the life of individual. ठीक. So he has also said that, इसे बंद करते हैं. He has also said that state is neither natural, state has not evolved out of organic evolution, state is neither divine, rather it's a man-made institution. ठीक है ना? Hence state is a means and who is the end? Individual is the end. तो ये भी लिखनी है, तो लाइंस लिख लो अपने पास. ये वहां होगा स्विच, जन यहाँ होगा स्विच, लिखो. he has also suggested that state is neither natural nor divine. नहीं है, कोई बात नहीं. State is neither natural nor divine. Hence, state is rather a man-made institution. Hence, state is a means and individual is the end. बंद करना था, एक चाय ला दे मुझे. Individual is the end. I hope you guys are aware of this. Those who have done with me foundation, I'm sure you remember this. He is both normative and methodological individualist. पता है ये बात? You also aware of this? He is both normative and methodological individualist. हाँ, प्रभी पूछा मैंने इसलिए आपको, तो मैं इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ. Who will tell? What is the meaning of this normative individualist? He is both normative and methodological individualist. एग्जाम में तो इतना भी लिख दोगे तो बहुत है, कोई नहीं पूछने वाला. लिख लो ये बात फिर. He is both, online students also, he is both normative and methodological individualist. Normative individualist means one who believes that there is nothing wrong if man is self-centered. He is considering if you are individualistic, you are wrong. No. Normative individualist means those who believe there is nothing wrong if man is self-centered. And methodological individualists are those who give their political theory. What is the basis of his theory of sovereignty? Why we need an absolute sovereign state? Man is too individualist. Man is utilitarian. Because man is utilitarian, man seeks pleasure. Because man has passion, that is why state of nature is a state of anarchy. Man do have reason to come out of that. We have created state, contract. Okay. Which kind of contract? Where we have surrendered all our rights. And this has led to the creation of absolute state. So he is giving all this theory based on what? Individualistic nature of man. Okay. Likho. Methodological individualists are those who give their theory based on individualistic nature of man. Based on individualistic nature of man. As Hobbes has built his political theory. What is his political theory? Theory of sovereignty. ठीक है? As he has built his political theory based on individualistic nature of man. Based on individualistic nature of man as a basis to justify absolute authority of the state. Absolute authority of the state. ठीक? So that is why he is the greatest of all individualists. Is he the greatest of all absolutist? Why he is now McPherson भी लिखेंगे हम इसमें, ठीक है ना? So why is the greatest of all absolutist? Because he is creating a absolute state where man does not have any rights. Locke is creating which kind of state? Liberal state. What is the meaning of liberal state? Limited state. Why state is limited? Liberal state means limited state. Why state is limited? Because people have rights. What kind of state we created after independence? A socialist state or a liberal state? ऐसे कहोगे यार, इंटरव्यू में ऐसी बात करके आओगे. अगर ये क्वेश्चन PSIR के एक स्टूडेंट से पूछा 2 मेंस लिखने के बाद, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ स्टेट वी क्रिएटेड आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस, आप मिक्स क्या होगे? अरे वी क्रिएटेड अ लिबरल स्टेट. Socialist states emphasize on duties, and in liberal state we have rights, and fundamental rights are the part of our constitution. We never created a socialist state, we created a liberal state with socialist objectives to achieve through DPSPs. But we were right to property was the part of our fundamental right, in fact, and right to property is given in which states? Liberal states. Part 1 क्या है? Part 1 of our constitution. Second, third part, fourth union आता है, ठीक है ना? Fifth है ना union. Fourth means union comes later before FRs. First we have given what? FRs to each other, ठीक है ना? And then we are creating the government, and government cannot take our FRs because FRs are derived from NRs. And who has given the theory of NR? Locke. And Locke is creating which kind of state? Limited state. Their state is limited because people have rights. And which kind of rights are there in the state of Locke? Life, liberty and property. So in liberal state, right to property is one of the most sacrosanct right, and even right to property was the fundamental right, which is now a legal right. So we created a liberal state, not a socialist state, because in socialist state people do not have rights, they have only duties. Okay? Now why he is known as absolutist? Because so पहली बात आपको लाइन वही लिखनी है, is he is creating a totalitarian monster or a authoritarian state who can even take your life arbitrarily? No. ठीक है? His absolutism is for individualism, but he is not creating a liberal state. Okay? Within a territory there cannot be more than one sovereign. ठीक है? ये लाइन लिख लो, Hobbes created an all powerful state. ये नहीं है आपके नोट्स में, लिख लो लाइन. Hobbes created an all powerful state, but it was not a totalitarian monster. It has to guarantee peace, order and security. It has to guarantee peace, order and security. Now if you have to explain his theory of sovereignty, so he has given his theory of sovereignty on the basis of the individualistic nature of man. So what are the steps in his theory of sovereignty? First he will explain, याद रखना ये steps. First he will explain human nature, and according to him human nature is utilitarian. ठीक है ना? He has explained this with the help of resolutive composite method. बस इतना लिखना है. ठीक है? So based on human nature he will explain state of nature. Second thing is state of nature, brutish. Life is not secure. ठीक? Man has reason, they want to come out of this situation, and that's why through contract they will create state. So third is contract. This is a contract of all with all, in which everyone has agreed to surrender their rights except right to life, right to self preservation. ठीक है? And this leads to creation of fourth state. Which kind of state? Absolute state, whose objective is to protect life. ठीक है ना? Hobbes has shown any concern for liberty? No. Hobbes' sole concern is security. ठीक है? So Hobbes is not a champion of liberty. He is a champion of security. He has given preference to security over liberty. ठीक है? So according to him, what is the quote he has given? No law, no liberty, or man is free where law is silent. लिखो. So What is liberty means according to him? Absence of law. Means he believes in liberty in the absence of state. Liberty in the absence of state is which kind of liberty? Negative liberty. Okay? So he is not a champion of liberty. He has given preference to security over liberty. ठीक? Liberty means absence of law according to him. ठीक? Man is free where law is silent. Let's do the questions on Hobbes. लिखो Hobbes' objective of social contract was the preservation of life, comma, not ensuring liberty. Analyze. Hobbes' objective of social contract was preservation of life, comma, not ensuring liberty. Analyze. ठीक, और क्या करना है? कैसे एनालाइज करोगे? अब इसको एनालाइज करके कमेंट होता तो कुछ फर्क पड़ता? If it would have been comment, so will it going to make any difference? Comment or analyze? Social was not ensuring liberty. Comment. There is nothing. So never be too concerned about these words. Focus should be given on the quote. Discuss, evaluate. Same बात है यार. Unnecessary confusion है. ठीक है, बिल्कुल कंसर्न करना ही नहीं है, फोकस कोट पर करना है. हिज ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वाज प्रिजर्वेशन ऑफ लाइफ, नॉट एंश्योरिंग लिबर्टी. लिख ले, लिख ले. Yes, we have to. Puritan revolution. There is a clear influence of Puritan revolution in his thought. Okay. This is why his sole concern was preservation of life. I and fear born together. ठीक है ना? Yes. There was a clear influence of this event on him. Puritan revolution तो आएगा ही. Due to which he has given a theory of sovereignty and his main concern is right to life. His objective of social contract was preservation of life. इसमें ये भी आएगा. So he believed man is utilitarian based on human nature. He has described the state of nature where life was not secure, and through contract man created state where they have surrendered all their rights. So liberties where law is silent. ये भी point आएगा. Social contract will create an all powerful state, that is Leviathan. So he will be criticized for creating Leviathan, that is a totalitarian monster. एंड में लिखेंगे एनालाइज. तो पहले सब कुछ बातें लिखेंगे. देन Hobbes was criticized for creating Leviathan by scholars like by Locke and Rousseau. ये भी लिख सकते हो. He is being criticized for creating Leviathan by Locke and Rousseau. Okay. According to Locke, Hobbes' assessment of human nature was too pessimistic. Macpherson called Hobbes as individualistic in assumption but absolutist in conclusion. Popper has called Hobbes as the enemy of open society. ये point आएगा. ठीक है. But as every scholar, every thinker is a child of his time, Hobbes was influenced by the chaotic times of Puritan revolution. And according to Sabine, the absolutist power given to the state by Hobbes is for the purpose of the protection of the life of individual. Who has said this? Sabine has said this. That is, his purpose is preservation of life of the individual. So Hobbes' absolutism is not for the sake of absolutism but for the protection of individual. And even if he is creating an absolute state, he is giving the right to resist if state tries to take the life in an arbitrary manner. तो हमने शुरुआत करा. एंड में we have brought Locke, Rousseau, Macpherson and Popper. ठीक. In support it is Sabine. नहीं 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 यार, वो तो बिल्कुल हमें लिबर्टी को नहीं एक्सप्लेन करना ना. वो तब आएगा व्हेन लॉ इज लिबर्टीज वेयर लॉ इज साइलेंट, तब आएगा वो. His objective of social contract was protection of life, not ensuring liberty. So here focus is on contract, what led to the creation of contract, what is the purpose of the contract, what he is trying to achieve with that, वो आएगा. लिखो सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ट्रेडिशन, सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ट्रेडिशन फॉर्म और social contract tradition form basis for the theories of Hobbes, Locke. Social contract tradition formed basis for the theories of Hobbes, Locke in a very diverse form. Elaborate. Social contract tradition formed the basis for the theories of Hobbes, Locke in a very diverse form. Elaborate. सोचो इसे. Understand the question. Social contract tradition form basis for the theories of Hobbes, Locke in a very diverse form. Elaborate. Elaborate के कमेंट होता तो चेंज हो जाता आंसर. फिर means both philosophers has given their theory. One has given theory of sovereignty, absolute state. Other has given theory of limited state, where people have rights, life, liberty, and property. Both has made social contract a hypothetical concept as the basis for their theory, and they have taken a different. They have totally analyzed human nature differently. For one, passion dominates, for other, reason dominates. Based on this, they have gone for the different interpretation of state of nature. Their contract is different. One contract, two contract, and both are creating different kind of state. One is giving right to resist, one is giving right to revolt. ठीक? Any other scholar who has used, a philosopher who has used contract, रूसो के अलावा, who has also relied on Rawls, John Rawls, ठीक है ना? He believed in contract. अरे ये कौन सी चाय ले आया? कहाँ है अतिन? भेजना उसे. So you know about both these things. ठीक, यहाँ पर लिख लो. The critics has condemned the contract theory. अगर क्वेश्चन कभी किसी और सेंस में आ गया, critics has condemned the contract theory on the grounds of. Can anyone tell me what are the three grounds on which critics has criticized the contract theory? कौन सी चाय है? हाँ नहीं करिए, रहने दे अब, हो गया, छोड़, रहने दे अब चाय, रहने दे अब. So what are the three grounds on which critics has criticized contract? Three grounds on which critics has criticized the contract theory is, right, bad, it is bad history. The critics has criticized the contract theory based on three grounds. First, bad history, bad law, and bad philosophy. Bad history, bad law, and bad philosophy. Right, under bad history, no proof of the contract ever been made. Bad history, no proof of the contract ever been made. Bad law, contract once made is irrevocable. क्या हम कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के अगेंस्ट जा सकते हैं? Contract one made. Who made this contract? Our early ancestors, and we have to abide by it. Contract once made is irrevocable. So it is bad law. Bad history. कब हुआ था पता नहीं, किसने किया था पता नहीं, हमें मानना पड़ रहा है, ठीक है. Third, bad philosophy. देखो, bad philosophy, political consciousness can never be the result of political consciousness can never be the result of one movement of can never be the result of one movement, comma, political consciousness can never be the result of one movement, comma, as contractualists believe in. Political consciousness can never be the result of one movement. कि suddenly consciousness आई और कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर दिया सबने, सब में एक साथ कॉन्शियसनेस आ गई होगी. एवरीवन सडनली रियलाइज वी वांट टू कम आउट ऑफ स्टेट ऑफ, ये समझ नहीं आएगी बात अगर आप पढ़ोगे तो बुक से. सो व्हाट इट मींस, बैड फिलॉसफी मींस पॉलिटिकल कॉन्शियसनेस कैन नेवर, एक पेन देना, पॉलिटिकल कॉन्शियसनेस कैन नेवर be the result of one movement. Suddenly everyone realized we want to come out of state of nature and they decided we want a state. It is such a bad philosophy as contractualists believe in. समझ आई बात? So it is a very important conclusion for all of you. Okay. Last time से आया नहीं है क्वेश्चन, आ सकता है on contract, ठीक है? What is the outcome of contract for these three philosophers? What is the outcome of contract according to Hobbes, Locke and Rousseau? ठीक, लिखो. For Hobbes, omnipotent state. For Hobbes, omnipotent state, that is absolute sovereignty. For Locke, limited state. That is, people have rights. And you know which rights? Life, liberty and property. Limited state, that is, people have rights as they were enjoying rights in the state of nature. Okay. For Rousseau, a state based on general will, that is popular sovereignty. लिखो, द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट थ्योरी इज the importance of the contract theory is that it serves as the basis for modern democracy. Basis for modern democracy, as it projects state is the product of people's consent. And it condemned the divine origin theory of state. Condemned the divine origin theory of the state and making it obsolete. Clear? So you have ample of material to frame an answer on contract theory. ठीक? So always all contract theory comes with what? First, interpretation of human nature. Then based on human nature, state of nature. ठीक है? Both have analyzed human nature differently, and that's why both has given a totally different interpretation of state of nature, and their contract is creating a different kind of state. ठीक? According to Rousseau, what is his analysis of state of nature? How Rousseau has analyzed the state of nature? State of bliss. Man was happy. Man is noble savage. Okay. Man was born free, but everywhere in chains. So his state of nature is state of bliss, right? So according to him, since man has developed a reason, he has become depraved animal. So याद रखना आपको, who has not, so first one to say reason has not done anything good for man is Rousseau. ठीक है ना? He is critic of modernity. Who else are critic of modernity? Hannah and Gandhi. ठीक है ना? तो ऐसे याद रखना है. Who all are critic to modernity? Rousseau, Hannah and Gandhi. What is the curse modernity has brought according to Rousseau? What curse modernity has brought according to Rousseau? He has become depraved animal, never satisfied. What curse modernity has brought according to Hannah? Man has started ignoring politics, and man is too involved in economics. What curse modernity has brought according to Gandhi? It has increased greed. ठीक है ना? And we need 10 more earths to fulfill such greed. तो ऐसे याद रखना है आपको. Connections you need to impart in your answers and in your content. लिखो, quote 150 words. अभी frame करो. End of obedience is protection. 150 words. End of obedience is protection. End of obedience is protection. What this quote is saying, 150 words. क्या है क्वेश्चन? हाँ, हॉब्स की है. और क्या है? हाँ जी. हमें क्या करना है? अबाइड करना है. ठीक है. एंड ऑफ ओबीडियंस इज प्रोटेक्शन. that you will be going to be obedient towards the state till the time it protects you. If state can't protect you, state can't expect your obedience. Reason for political obligation. ठीक है ना? If state is seeking obedience, it needs to give you protection. ठीक है? If state is seeking obedience, it is bound to give you protection. So if sovereign fails in his duty of what? Ensuring protection, contract is breached and obligation to obey is nullified. If sovereign fails in its duty, the contract is breached and the obligation to obey is nullified. ठीक है? हाँ जी. End of obedience means then state is not able to protect you. Means you are back to the state of anarchy. इसमें लिखना है, पॉइंट लिख लो, लिखो जॉन लॉक आर्ग्यूज that Hobbes' emphasis on security John Locke argues that Hobbes' emphasis on security neglects other vital aspects. Neglects other vital aspects of human nature like liberty, and according to Locke, political authority should be limited and accountable, not absolute. Full stop. According to Rousseau, true freedom and protection can only be achieved through direct democracy and through popular sovereignty. That is when state will govern through general will. Okay. Only be achieved through direct democracy and popular sovereignty. वन 150 वर्ड्स ही था ये. End of obedience is protection. ठीक है ना? If state can't protect, state can't expect your obedience. So only reason for obligation is protection. Let's see the previous year questions on Hobbes. Individualism is inherent in Hobbes' absolutist ideology. Easy. Comment on Hobbesian notion on political obligation. Covenants without swords. Discuss Hobbes as individualist. No law, no liberty. Hobbes started as individualist but ended as absolutist. Liberty signifies properly the absence of opposition in external impediments. ठीक है ना, both internal and external impediments. His example. लिखो क्वेश्चन लेवियांथन is fruitless as a book of history. Do you think what all he has written in his book Leviathan is of no use for us? It is of use. His theory of sovereignty do mean something, but his analysis of human nature can also be one-sided. Is it a scientific interpretation of human nature? It's not a scientific, it's a one-sided interpretation. So Leviathan is fruitless as a book of history and useless as a book of political philosophy. Comment. And useless as a book of political philosophy. Comment. Means there are few who has tried to project that what all he has said is of no relevance, but will going to write in favor. No, we do learn a lot. Even Marx said what? That he's a father of all. If we have to understand the present state, we have to read Hobbes. ठीक है ना? Without understanding Hobbes, we cannot understand the nature of the present state. And political science begins and ends with the state. ठीक? Leviathan is fruitless as a book of history and useless as a book of political philosophy. Comment. So Hobbes known for his work, that is Leviathan, ठीक, in which he has given the theory of sovereignty, ठीक, through which he is creating a absolute state. Okay. Though many have criticized that this book is fruitless and useless, ठीक, especially Skinner. आप नाम लिख सकते हो Skinner. According to Skinner, Hobbes' historical analysis. Skinner, according to Skinner, Hobbes' historical analysis, particularly his interpretation of English Civil War, is biased. And his view is biased and serves to justify his absolutist views. Right. According to Skinner, Hobbes' depiction of the English Civil War as a state of nature. Hobbes' depiction of English Civil War as a state of nature is more of a rhetorical tool or is more of a rhetoric लिख लो. Rhetoric is way of saying things to prove your point, is more of a rhetoric. Also his interpretation of civil war to mere power struggle, also his interpretation of the civil war as a mere power struggle, ignoring significant religious and constitutional debate, has been historically simplistic and inaccurate. ठीक, फिर आप आओगे लॉक पे. लॉक has gone for the total different interpretation of human nature and state of nature, and he is creating a limited state. ठीक है ना. However, we cannot totally discredit Hobbes, his interpretation. Marx said he is a father of all. To understand the present nature of the state, we need to read we can take a lot of things from his work, Leviathan. ठीक है ना. At least he ended the confusion of two swords. According to him, sovereignty needs to be at one place. So it is saying that it is totally fruitless and useless is the biased interpretation of his work. ठीक. लिखो Leo Strauss. Now he has said in his favor, Leo Strauss. According to Leo Strauss, Hobbes' Leviathan emphasizes on the dangers of anarchy, and on the necessity of a strong central authority. So we'll resume our discussion tomorrow. Those who are in a position to write the test, you are free to write. ठीक है, tomorrow जितना लिख सकते हो. Discussion चलता रहेगा parallelly. It is not possible to plan it like this that the test will be after the completion of our complete paper A. So already you have written. So it is to add, these classes are to add value, to make structures in the class, but parallelly you keep writing your test, whatever information you have, and with the feedbacks, with the remarks, you will keep improving. Okay, so both things we cannot synchronize these two things, that is the classes and the test, considering the time we have in our hand. Okay, so you can write your test whenever you have the time. Okay, it will be there on the portal. You will going to upload your answer sheets on the portal itself, and parallelly we will continue with the classes also. So tomorrow class same time. Okay. Mill, Marx, Gramsci, Hanna. हो रहा है क्विक रिवीजन. Okay, bye, take care. Rajiv, you can call me after half an hour for whatever your doubt was. Okay.